This is the third video explaining the control systems used by the Colombian Western Model Railroad. There are about 200 some odd switches, turnouts on the layout. The majority of them exist at 42 inches and are used for switching, and they are just manually operated. All the track is code 55 Pico. The switches are all Pico electric frog. So for most manual switching, it just simply flick it and it's power routing, so it actually routes power to the points and to the frog. I find that very convenient for manual switching in the Nelson yard and the major switching areas because it's very, very intuitive. For the balance, so the 1/3 of the turnouts that are power controlled, that all the track on the third level uses powered switch machines, tortoise switch machines that are controlled through simple DP/DT switches and panels. And of course, any hidden or difficult to reach track is also uses switch machines, the tortoise switch machines. So the power is routed, and you can see through the control panel the light indicates whether it's set for the main or for diverging. I've also recently added sort of pseudo switch control. They're obviously oversized, but they allow the operators to see the switch number and then relate it to the panel. It also marks the clearance points for the switch points. So for operators that are having difficulty to seeing the actual configuration of the turnout, or if the another train is staged in front and it's difficult to see, then it makes it easier to determine exactly where the clearance points are. The main locomotive control system is Digitrax. It resides here. And there are 3 booster units that feed the power through 12 separate control blocks. So that makes troubleshooting really easy. You can actually see the system operation of the lights through this smoke glass window. So if there's a problem, you can see it and identify it quite quickly. While we're here, we can also see the infrared detection panel. Here is the train. It's the locomotive Extra 8602. And it's staged in one of the west staging tracks. If there were trains staged east, they'd be appearing here, or possibly in the turning Y. And then the climb up the helix is indicated here. For the main line, this is just a 2-turn helix that goes between Castlegar and Shields. The throttles there's about 9 throttles. Most of them are the quite simple UT4 throttles, utility throttles. I find those are very effective for operators because there isn't a lot of buttons to press, and they all operate in an infrared mode as well. I have about a dozen infrared receivers scattered around the layout up high, and we've had as many as 9 operators in here, and we haven't had significant problems with the infrared pickup. However, I do find the responsiveness is better if the throttles are plugged in for switching. So we tend to find that the operators, when they're stationary, will plug them in. The system uses a logic rail fast clock, which is networked to the LocoNet of Digitrax. It operates at 6:1. We found that's quite usable. So we simulate 15 hours of prototype operation and 2.5 hours of modeling time. I've been using this since the beginning. I found both the system and the supplier highly reliable, so I'd recommend that to anyone considering a fast clock system. So that handles the actual locomotive control. The trains themselves are controlled by timetable. Every train has a small clipboard, Velcro on the back, so it makes it really easy as the operator can just simply hang it anywhere. The back includes the timetable, which is modeled on the prototype timetables for the Nelson Boundary and the Burlington Northern trains. Every train has a set of train instructions. That train instructions includes the description of what the train does, a summary of where it meets, assuming that everything's running according to the timetable. There is a diagram of the route and the switching locations, which are all described that the train may switch. Special orders, including slow orders or breakings, thermal tests, time for that, etc. Any special tracks that can be used. And then there's a section, a switch list basically. If there are specific cars that need to be handled in a specific way, the car codes are listed. And then I would write in before a session the Digitrax setting, the date, and any specific instructions to that crew. These are found where the operator picks up the train. And when the train is finished being operated, the operator just turn the train instructions upside down and leave it back where they found it. That handles train control. Eventually I will use timetable and train order to dispatch, and I've mocked up some semaphore prototypes which you can see on YouTube for how the train order semaphores are going to work. I'm still trying to figure out exactly the dispatching system and the OSing system. Hopefully that will be in place in the next 1 or 2 years. The car control is handled through stickers on the tops of the cars, as you can see here at the Pope and Talbot lumber mill. These are easily removed during the session if necessary. They don't leave any residue on the cars, which is great. I just print them up using a little label making system. Now the labels are actually color coded according to this route diagram. So all the warm colors are moving to the west, so Trail and Castlegar yellow and pink, and anything going west along the boundary eventually potentially going to the Carmi subdivision or orange. Anything going east to Creston, Cranbrook, or the UP connection at Kingsgate is blue. Burlington Northern is green, and then anything moving north up the Slocan or Tinnacusp is gray. So this kind of operation makes it very easy. This kind of configuration makes it very easy for the Nelson operators to quickly pull together trains and classify them, because they can basically do it by color. If there's a specific on layout location, that will be indicated by writing on top of the label. So for example, here we see yellow, which is Castlegar, Pope and Talbot 1, which means switch to the Pope and Talbot mill track number 1. So that's the car instructions. The final piece of information is all this information is available in an employee timetable. If you're interested, I can send you a copy. Just drop me an email. It kind of explains to an operator exactly how everything works and what they should be familiar with. The last thing for operators to know is actually uncoupling. All the uncoupling is manual using little skewers, which I find very effective. N-scalers seem to have no problems with it. Sometimes the HOers can have a little bit of difficulty with the small cars and the lightweight, but I find that's quite flexible. And in the last video, there was a shot of the brakes that can be used to hold the trains on grade if you're doing switching. So that ends the section on the operating mechanics and the train control.